as far as an anatomical theme today, I we're going to be working very low, gentle back bends. Okay, great. Actually, there's Allie because this is kind of important for her too. How's your back, Edom? Okay. Yeah. Oh, Allie. Oh, yeah, that's right. You're traveling. You said you were gonna try to fit in. Yeah. So, Allie, we're gonna be using like a foam roller. I'm sure with your traveling, you don't have a block or something. I'm, who travels with a foam roller? Unless it's this one, you got right. Didam's like cracking up. Look at this one, you got. Remember these ones? Allie, this is a foam roller that collapses down and then turns turns into one. Right? Isn't that cool, Julie? Like Ali and I were someday maybe gonna make blocks like this. Okay, I'll get us started. So long, gentle back bends. Okay, as long as you can make them. For those of you who have been to Michigan and you know about the Mackinac Island Bridge, for some reason, this class, it always makes me think of a suspension bridge. Okay, we are not trying to make some big arch here. We want to go really long and low. And I just think for the visual, right? Everything that we're going to be doing, you're going to be trying to find as much space between these five thick vertebra. You're always going to have like a little natural curve there. That's absolutely fine. But we really try to want to put all the back bends here right up in the thoracic spine. And basically everything we do today, make it as much of a back bend here as you feel comfortable with, right? Like if we do knees, chest, chin, and you can get your chest on the floor, that's absolutely fine, up to you. I'm prefacing that because normally I would kind of call that like you're thinking into it too much. But today, go ahead, yeah, and just get as much of that flexibility through the mid back as you'd like. So to get started, and if you have when you come into this, you guys, the roller, you may have to move around as you start moving your legs. Okay, so we fully come down, lifting the hips, and you position your prop underneath your sacrum and let that move around a little bit until you find the sweet spot. And so by having a foam roller underneath the hips, it's going to help maintain that gentle curve of your lumbar spine. But then maybe walk your shoulder blades back a little bit and already begin to extend the spine here. Taking your arms out to the sides and closing your eyes. As you guys were coming in, Didem was asking me how Mexico was. And on this 4-day trip that every single minute of our time was planned out. But then I started thinking, kind of because every moment was planned out, when you were in that chunk of time, you could be fully present. And that's also why I plan and like write out our classes. So there's a little bit of a plan. You know where you're going now. And seeing if you can keep dropping in and be more present with this feeling of the upper back bend. So just begin to focus on your inhale. Seeing if you can use that inhale to help facilitate the movement of the mid spine, the movement of your ribs, and the expansion of your chest. Take 2 more. Draw your left knee in towards your chest. Yep. Interlace your fingers over the front of your left knee or over the top of that left shin and begin to draw it in. Okay, and then straighten your right leg completely forward, keeping your right heel connected to the floor. Okay. Flex and activate your right foot, and then as you drop your awareness and become really present of the work through that right leg, notice if the weight is on your outer right heel. Can you bring the work a little bit more to your inner right heel? And as you press your right heel down, feel your right hamstring activate. Continue to hold on to your left knee with your left hand. And now just use your own right hand, you guys, on the top of your right hip and start to kind of massage or like stretch the skin on the top of your right leg forward. So just start to get a little bit of downward flow. Exactly, Julie. Yep, kind of like press forward and down. A couple times getting length there. And then you can bring your right hand back to your right knee and start to pull your left knee towards your left armpit. Okay, a little bit out to the side on the diagonal. And as your left knee moves up to the side, just have the presence to see how that changes the stretch through the top of your right leg. Okay, now you guys know like when we do banana asana. So as you bring your left knee kind of back into the center of your chest, take your right foot over towards the left corner of your mat, but we're going to keep both hips on your foam roller, on your block. So your right leg is off centered on the diagonal. And then take your right arm up and over and towards the back left corner of your sticky mat. And just use this kind of pulling left knee in towards your chest to get a stretch through the top of your right leg and through the outside of that right hip. We're not here for long. We're going to use this like, it's not a yin pose. Use it a little bit more actively. Inhale. Exhale. Okay. And as we move through these back bends, I want you all to just kind of like make a mental agreement with yourself that everything you do today, I want it to feel good in your body as you stretch that out. Great. Come back to center. Step both feet down into the mat. Just kind of feel that. Okay. And change sides. Right knee pulls in towards the chest. Left leg extends. Yep. Good. Okay, so you kind of know where we're going now. So you have the plan and then just be really present with it. Stop. Bring the awareness down into the left heel to begin. Okay, and as your right knee holds onto the right knee, go ahead and use your left hand. See if you can kind of like manually extend or stretch the right left leg a little bit more forward. Good. Okay, and then hold on to your right knee with both hands. Pull it more towards your right armpit. And then take your left foot over to the right. Good. Kind of gently squeeze your inner upper thighs together and then left arm up and over on the diagonal. So as I do this, you guys, I push my right knee a little bit towards the midline, right? So that it doesn't open out. And then I think from the center of my hips, reach the left knee, the left shoulder, the left ankle, the left wrist, the left toes, the left fingertips away from each other. Inhale. Exhale. Okay. Back to center. Step both feet down onto the mat. Use that little pause to become more present and then remove your roller off to the side. Okay. Kind of a slow start, you guys, but this is different than how we always do it. Keep your feet where they are. Keep your head and upper back where it is and shift your hips over to the right. Okay, so like I'm off centered now. Straighten your left leg forward and put your right foot on top of your left leg. If it only goes to the knee, that's fine. Maybe try to bring it up onto your left quadricep. And then your left hand pulls your right knee across the body and you're coming into a simple twist. Okay, but the reason why we're setting up like that is now when you come into the twist, your left foot, your left hip, the center of your heart, and the center of the head should be in the same line. And then I want you as actively as possible to push the leg and the foot together so that you activate your pelvic floor and you can lift up and out of your low back. Remember, get that spinal extension and then see how much of this of an upper back bend you can make the twist. 2 more breaths. Inhale. Exhale. Push the foot and leg together. Keep extending. 1 more. Breathe in. Use the inhale breath to find the upper back bend and exhale twist. Good. Back to center and neutralize. Swing the hips back to center. Okay. And final one. Keep the feet where they are. Move the hips to the left. Off-centered. Extend right leg. And then plant left foot high up onto the thigh. Good. And twist. Okay. Line yourself up there. Like if you have the line down the middle of your mat. Press and extend. So a lot of times, you guys, when we do this twist, right, I'm getting you both knees in line with your hips, putting it all in the upper back. This, you might be able to get more of like kind of a gentle, mild twist through your low back. 2 more breaths. Start from the foundation, from the foot, from the leg, through the pelvic floor, extend up. 1. Inhale. Exhale for 2. Back to center, step both feet into the mat. And final pose from here, hands down alongside your hips. You're gonna grab the long edges of your mat. So you take a handful of mat, lift your hips up, bridge pose. Okay, and then from my upper arm bone, from the backs of your hands, down onto the floor, still holding onto your mat. And then pull on the edges of the mat and see if you can open your chest a little bit more. Fire up your upper back muscles. Inhale, spread the breath across your collarbone. Good, and exhale. Release here, hips down. Okay, check in. Is it starting to feel good? Pull your knees into your chest. And I like to hold the backs of my knees on this one and just take as many kind of rocks and rolls as you need. Massage your entire length of your spine. Good through there. And let's go. 3, smooth rock. 2, 1, plant palms, press back. Downward facing dog. Okay, we're gonna have plenty of time in down dog. First, just walk back to the back of your mat, stacking the center of your knees over the center of your heels, and grab opposite arm, opposite elbow for the forward fold, Uttanasana. Okay, I've got the timer on for this one, you guys. It's a 1-minute hold in Uttanasana. So again, give your spine, your low back, plenty of time to start to lengthen and extend out of the top of the hip. And see if you can maybe lengthen a little bit more forward first. And then dropping down and in. Same thing when we were on the floor. The weight might roll to the pinky edge or your outer heel. See if you can spread the work back to the inner edges of your feet. And you've got about 20 more seconds if you need to kind of like wiggle or shake anything out here. But work on deep breath, let it feel good. Final extension. Inhale. Exhale, release the hands. Walk your hands forward, but be careful that you don't let your hips shift forward, okay? So you can kind of imagine that like I'm holding your hips back as you walk it out into downward facing dog. Yeah, good, Allie. Yeah, so what this might actually do is keep your heels a little bit heavier as you roll your sitting bones up towards the ceiling. Now, remember when we grabbed the edges of the mat, it allowed you to turn the upper arm bone. See it here in down dog. You could turn your upper arm bone so your tricep kind of wrap that, chest stays open. Inhale. Exhale, hands walk to the back of your mat. Uttanasana. This time, take your arms in C variation, interlacing your hands behind your hips and allowing your arms to stretch up and over. Yep, if it feels better, right, you can bend your knees until your rib cage rests on your thigh. Build from the ground up, feet to knees to hips, pour the spine forward. And then for our last few breaths here, if it does feel better to kind of move your hands a little bit back and forth in space, left, right, shake your shoulders. But remember, whenever our arms are in C variation, we're not just going over first. You're going up, squeezing your shoulder blades together, and then over. Inhale. Exhale, release your hands. Keep pressing your thigh bones back as you walk your hands forward, downward facing dog. Yep. Zip all the way up through the backs of the legs until you roll your sitting bones towards the ceiling, and then inhale forward into plank. Exhale, bend elbows, lower straight down to the floor, point toes. Inhale, cobra. There we go. Elbows are bent, stretch back, downward facing dog. Okay. There's no sun A's today, you guys, so this is, you're just going to vinyasa from here. Inhale forward into plank. Start to build a little heat, bend elbows, check that the shoulder blades stay on your upper back, point toes. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, back down dog. So we're going to plan it out. You have 3 more. You know where you're going. You can be present with the breath. Inhale, plank. Follow your own breath. Exhale all the way down. Use an inhale. Make sure it feels like that upper back bend, keeping it out of your low back. Exhale, back down dog. Continue forward. Inhale. Maybe you stretch the breath longer. Exhale, push to the very bottom of your exhale. Use the entire inhale. Wrist back, elbows back, shoulders back. Downward facing dog for 2. And 1 more. So at whatever pace, doesn't matter. Take your time. Yep, be specific about it. And then we all meet back. Downward facing dog. Good. From your down dog, knees to the mat, tabletop, take your foam roller or block. And we're just going to kind of use the foam roller, actually leg block, as we bring our elbows onto the top of the roller. Elbows are bent, fingertips point up towards the ceiling, knees walk back, puppy dog pose. Okay. So this was a little bit what I was prefacing, like puppy dog as good as it feels in your body. Picture that skeleton in the idea that your ribs are dropping down towards the floor. If your forehead rests on the edge of the block or on the roller, on the floor, great. Inhale. Exhale completely, drop and kind of sink into it. Knees walk forward. Release. Remove the roller and come down onto your elbows, forearms parallel, spread your fingertips open. Now, just like our feet, our weight rolls to the pinky edge side of our hands and our outer wrist. Focus on keeping your inner wrist, your thumb down, tuck toes, inhale, cow, hips lift, up and back, dolphin pose. Okay, so dolphin can be done kind of in 2 ways. One is a shoulder strengthener, stacking your shoulders over your elbows, or as that arms up overhead back bend. The deeper you bend your knees, try to melt the rib cage towards the floor. 1 more. Inhale. Exhale, knees to the mat. Tabletop position. Okay, from tabletop, Left foot steps out at that 45-degree angle. That was our last kind of 2 weeks of class. And then lengthen and extend your left leg out on the diagonal, flexing the foot. From the middle here, square everything off. You're trying to turn your left hip point forward, just like a tabletop position. Inhale, cow. Yep, good. And then exhale, walk your hands forward like a puppy dog and try to sink down here in the middle. 1. Yep, inhale. Exhale 2, practice your presence, right, with each breath. Final extension. Can you get into the upper back? We'll make every single pose today a little gentle upper back bend. As you come back to center, plant hands, tabletop position. Right foot steps out. Now that you know the plan, lengthen and extend right leg. Flare the toes out. Okay, so this is actually something like a little technical detail I've been working on. I'm even trying to turn my right hip forward, right? Sometimes my right hip opens a little bit out to the side. Turn your right hip, your right rib cage in. Inhale, cow pose. Nice, Allie, good. And then walk that forward. Puppy dog pose here. 1. Continually rolling your sitting bones up for 2. Okay, and then your second job here is do it in a way that actually is gonna feel good in your body. By the time we get to Shavasana, you feel like you've stretched out, you found some space. Coming back to center, tabletop position, elbows down to the floor. Squeeze the elbows together. Inhale, cow pose on your forearms. Lift the knees, dolphin pose. Yep, if you're anything like me, my elbows roll out kind of on the elephant skin of my elbows. I'm constantly trying to squeeze my elbows in, use a little bit more of your chest muscles. And as you find that power in your shoulders, press your rib cage back towards your thighs. Inhale. Exhale. Knees down to the mat, tabletop position. Left foot steps out on the diagonal. Keep it there, bent at 90 degrees. Lengthen and extend your right leg. Okay, so you're at that like 45 degrees lizard lunge. Back right knee down. Come down onto your right forearm. And today, as much as you want to, you can sink into that right hand. Before we add the quad stretch, pull and lengthen the spine forward, lift up out of your low back, left hand, left knee, add the twist. Yep, and then you're rolling that left shoulder open as you reach back and grab a hold of the pinky edge side of the foot. Okay. Now, sometimes we pull that foot in, and you could pull it in for a breath or 2 here to get the quadricep stretch, but I actually want you to use the leg kicking back away from you to facilitate more of the back bend. Good. 1. If you want to roll to the pinky edge side of your left foot, that works as well for 2. Inhale. Exhale for 3. Unwind. Back to center. Tabletop. Okay. Right foot steps out. Back left toes tuck. Okay, as you push into the floor, right? Squeeze your inner thighs. Get a little bit of your pelvic floor. So we dump into the low back. Back left knee down. Drop onto left forearm. And then twist first. Pause. Make it about the back bend, fold both shoulder blades onto your upper back, and then the right arm goes back to grab the left foot. You guys, and if you're having a hard time grabbing your foot, you could always stay up on your hand, right? If you stay up on your hand, it's gonna make it a little bit easier. And then pull in for a couple moments, stretch the quadriceps, but then actually today practice kicking away, give yourself some resistance to lengthen through the abdominals, through the front of the rib, through the heart. Make it about the back bend. Inhale. Exhale, back through center. Tabletop position. And final time, come down onto your forearms. Drive the chest through as you pull the shoulders back. Dolphin pose. Holding here. 1. Find your inner elbows, your inner forearms for 2. Inhale. Exhale, 3. Stretch out through the side body. That's why we kind of did banana asana to begin. Feel the left and right side of the body all the way from the armpits to the outer hip stretching. One more. Can you sink in any deeper? And then knees to the mat. Tabletop position. Okay, come back, be present, pull heart through. Inhale, cow. Exhale, hips lift, up and back, downward facing dog. And then step forward, top of your sticky mat, leaving your feet hip width distance apart. Hands to shins, inhale, open. Everything is a little upper back bend there. Exhale, fold in. Okay. Interlace the hands behind the back of your head. Okay, so not at the back of the neck, at the round part of the skull. Swing your elbows out open wide and then lift up half flat back until you feel your back muscles engage. Bend your knees deeply and come up into a modified chair pose. Right, so we do this sometimes kind of on the ground, like knees, chest, chin. Fire up all the muscles of your upper back from the center of your chest through the inner shoulders, through your inner elbows, press out. Maybe you look up, inhale, and then exhale, release and fold out over your legs. Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhale, lengthen, half flat back. Exhale, step back, meet me at the top of your push-up, plank pose. Inhale, plank. Exhale, bend elbows, lower straight down onto the belly. Okay, point toes, chin to chest, forehead down. Interlace the hands behind the back of your head. Okay, same thing here. Press your pubic bone down and then lift your elbows up first. And then use the strength of your upper back to do a supine kind of sit up here. Exactly, Zubair. Yeah. So I can get my forehead up. Can you get your chest? Can you get those bottom ribs, like the bottom tip of your sternum off the mat? Inhale. Exhale. Can you keep that lift? Plant your palms. Use your arms. Make it a little bit stronger of a cobra. Nice. Good. Good, Dietem. As you press back, downward facing dog. Right foot steps forward up in between your hands. Lunge. Lift to rise. High lunge. Yep. Interlace your fingers. Flip your palms up. And if you remember from the last few classes, you guys talking about the top of the sacrum, right? Press the top of the sacrum towards the back of your mat. Curl your tailbone forward. Find a way to lift up and out of your low back. Remember the skeleton. Re-straighten your back left leg. And then if you want, bending your elbows, cup the back of your head and make this about, it's actually called like crescent pose, okay? So instead of just a high lunge, when you try to turn it into a back bend at the very top, chin away from chest. Inhale. Exhale, hands to the mat, pick up the foot, plank pose. Inhale, plank. Exhale, straight down to the belly, chin to chest, long through the neck, interlace the hands. So you guys, whenever we interlace, right, they're completely webbed together, but you're also trying to separate your hands apart. That'll help fire up the muscles on your upper back. Lift your elbows, dig your pubic bone forward and down, and then lift up here. Okay, so most of us are pretty weak on our upper back. Keep your eyes soft. Be present with the sensation. Can you squeeze the tops of your ankles and your hips more down into the mat? And for the last breath, get the bottom of your sternum, even those bottom ribs off the mat. Inhale. Exhale, keep the lift, plant the palms, find your cobra, final extension out of your low back to stretch the hips. Downward facing dog. Left foot steps forward up in between your hands. Lunge. Lift to rise. High lunge. Back knee softens if you need it. Interlace the fingers. Press the palms away. Remember that feeling on the foam roller at the beginning of class of getting that stretch through the front of the right hip. Try to find that as you re-straighten the back right leg. Bend elbows. And as you press the top of your sacrum towards the back of your mat, find your crescent pose. Big back bend here. 1. Inhale. Up and out of the hips. 2. Nice presence, nice focus, you guys. 1 more. And then release. Hands to the mat, top of your push-up plank. Last time here. Drop all the way down to your belly. Point toes. Interlace fingers. And lift up here, a variation of Shalabhasana, of locust pose. And then I like to put my focus on the muscles of my low back, right? So we're not squeezing the glutes. We're squeezing the muscles of the low back, mid back, upper back. Use your neck. And you even use the back of your head, pressing into your hands to widen that open. Okay, try to stay with it. I'm shaking here as I fire up those muscles. Keep the lift, release the hands. Inhale, cobra. Side ribs forward, hips lift, up and back. Downward facing dog. Holding there, wrap your upper arm bones around. 1. Inhale. Exhale, 2. Inhale. Exhale for 3. Your choice, step or jump forward, feet together, top of your sticky mat. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold in. From there, bend knees, drop hips, arms up. Pali Mudra, interlace the fingers, index finger free as you look up. Okay, so it's a little bit higher than your typical Utkatasana, knees, chest, chin. Now, use the strength of your arm bones, pulling back, yes, to open your chest. Inhale. Exhale, fold out over your legs as you straighten them. Uttanasana. Inhale, lengthen, half flat back. Exhale, step back, top of your push-up plank pose. Now, make a decision, right? If you want cobra or chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, hips lift, downward facing dog. Right foot steps forward up in between your hands, lunge. Lift all the way to rise, high lunge. Okay. Interlace your fingers, Pali Mudra. Okay, please keep turning that left hip forward, press your pubic bone, and then please side lean to the right. So I take this all the way from the outside of my left ankle through the outer left knee, up and out through the left hip. And then you can kind of decide like what's right in for you, if it's a side bend only, or if you want to start to make it just a little bit of a back bend as you use the strength of your upper arm to pull the arm bones back open into that left chest. Inhale. Exhale, hands to the mat, pick up the foot, plank pose. Inhale, plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, Urdhva. Are you rotating your upper arm bones? There we go. Hips lift, up and back, downward facing dog. Left foot forward up in between your hands. Lift to rise. High lunge with a Pali Mudra here. Right hip forward. Lift up first, and then lateral side bend. Okay. So do you guys see how maybe your right ribs want to actually pull a little bit forward? Draw your right rib back. Make sure it's a lateral side bend first. And then if you want the kind of feeling of the back bend, chin away from chest. Inhale. Exhale, hands to the mat. Move through your vinyasa. And then from that vinyasa, check your upper back, check your ribs. Is it starting to soften? Big toes come together to touch at the back of your mat. Inhale, lift right leg. We've had a couple classes, right, when I've asked you to make sure that your outer left hip pulls back, that you don't collapse through the left side body. Bend your right knee, roll the right hip open, and then have that presence to make sure that the left side body isn't shortening. And right foot steps forward up in between your hands, lunge. Okay, spin your back left heel to flat. You guys make sure you have a big wide base and come on up, warrior one. Okay, so warrior one actually traditionally taught is with a Kali Mudra at the top. You're pulling your upper arm bones back, use the back leg, lift up out of your low back, press your sacrum back, and then if you want to start to turn that into a back bend. So in the Ashtanga series, they actually teach this as an upper back bend, lifting your chest. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, come back to center. Lift your back left heel, and then you're going to transition forward. C variation, coming into warrior three at the top of your mat here. Yep. Okay. And then remember Degasana, you guys. Degasana, you tip in even further, lifting that left leg, and now use your arm bones and make it an upper back bend here. Think of it like a floating Shalabhasana on a standing strong right leg. Step back. Top of your push-up, plank. Squeeze the tops of the thighs. Stretch the heart away from your hip. Chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Yep, without letting the thighs sink. Downward facing dog. Feet come together. Left leg lift, pause. Have that presence now. You know where you're going. Draw the outer right hip away from your right shoulder. Bend the knee. Roll the hip open. Pause. Upper back bend, right? You're melting the chest through. Left foot steps forward. Spin your back right heel to flat. Keep it wide. Lift to rise. Traditional warrior one. As you start to feel a little more open, maybe you bend deeper into that left knee and then lift up, 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 up out of the hip. Can you feel your core, front ribs in, and then find your upper back bend here. Keep it gentle. Maybe look up. Excellent. Inhale. Exhale, bring that back to center. Lift your right heel as you shift forward. Warrior three. And then from your warrior three, use the muscles on the back body. Continue to lift your right leg. It's almost like a standing split as you dip your heart forward, kind of teeter-totter balance, and then open your chest. Step back, top of your push-up, plank. Yep, so before you go into your chaturanga or up dog, make sure your chest is extending. Find spinal extension, chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Downward facing dog. Then take your knees down. Yep, and grab like we did at the beginning of class. Thumbs forward, 4 fingers curling under the edge of your mat. I'm really gripping my mat, and I turn my biceps forward here. Yep, and I see that my triceps have wrapped backwards. Take your feet a little bit wider. And now it's like this dipping down dog. You guys, can you get your forehead to sink down towards the middle of your mat? Right? And sometimes this is proportion. If you take your feet a little bit wider, you might be able to do it. But go ahead and try to let your forehead actually sink all the way down to the floor. Can you rest it there? Ribs drop through. Inhale. Exhale. Good. Knees all the way down. Come back to center. Tabletop. Inhale, cow. Loosen up the mid back. Downward facing dog. Last flow from here. Big toes touch. Lift your right leg up and back, bend right knee, roll right hip open, and then prepare for wild thing. Flipping your dog here, pivot, turn, and then pause. Okay, once those right toes drop over, bend your left elbow a little, bend your right elbow, bend both knees. Okay, so before you go into this, lengthen this up and out of your low back. Get it into the center of your chest. Then try to straighten your left leg and straighten your left arm and use the back of your head to widen that right elbow open. All in the upper back, nothing in your low back. Inhale. Exhale, as you flip that back up and around. Right foot steps forward, lunge. Good. Back left knee down. And then walk both hands up, please, up onto that right knee. Okay. Shift back enough. Find the sacrum. Remember how the sacrum was on the foam roller kind of being flattened, so you lift up out of your low back. And then you choose how much you sink in. I don't go too far. Arms up. Kali Mudra. Side lean to the right as you push your hips to the left. Okay, now bend your elbows. Cup the back of your head. Squeeze your shoulder blades together. And then some of you, you're going to keep your left hand there, and your right hand can reach back for that left heel as you open up. Anjaneyasana, nice with the side body. There you go, Julie. Yeah. So push forward through your right knee. Squeeze your glutes. Lift up and out. Inhale. Exhale. Back up through center. Plank pose. Pick up your foot. Hold. Get solid through your core. Stay for a plank. Stay for a breath in plank. Sorry. Inhale. Exhale. One more inhale. Chaturanga. Yeah. Up dog into your down dog. Big toe touch. Left leg lift. Bend left knee. And as you lift your right heel, drop up and over, and then pause. Okay, so I bend my right elbow deeply. I bend both knees, right? I bend both knees so that then I can tuck my tailbone under, right? Long through the low back. Squeeze between the shoulder blades. And then it's the strength of that right leg and right arm that pushes you open towards the top of your mat to find your wild thing or your flip dog. Yeah, maybe turn the belly, turn the chest, maybe look up towards the ceiling. Inhale. Exhale back through center, left leg lift. Left foot steps forward, lunge. Okay, and then back knee down. Both hands up, lift your torso, and slide your hips back. Okay, good. As you tuck in, exactly, arms up. Kali Mudra, Maybe now you can get the pinky edge side of your hands to press a little bit more. And as you sink in, take your side lean. Right hip turning forward. Bend your elbows, cup the head. Try to keep your elbows open wide. Add the little side upper back bend. And then maybe your left hand reaches back for that heel. And open up here. Nice. Yeah. And I'd be telling you you look great, but it's almost completely dark. I think you can widen that right elbow open, push into the heel, upper back bend, you guys. And then circle that back to center. Top of your push-up. Plank pose, but you're holding. Good, don't rush through that. When you feel your next inhale breath extend, exhale chaturanga. Inhale Urdhva Mukha. Exhale hips lift up and back, Adho Mukha. Okay. Knees to the mat, keep your toes tucked under. Child's pose. So sometimes when I come into a child's pose, either I use my hands forward or sometimes I reach back and grab my heels, like my own heels, and I kind of pull myself tighter into the child pose. So I get a little bit more traction on my low back. Inhale, exhale. Okay, keep your hips to your heels as you lift up to seated on your toes. And then we just have Ustrasana here, you guys, which kind of makes sense with the way class was going. Lift up. You're doing 2 of them, so that's the plan. So you decide how to breathe present. My first one, I'm going to keep my toes tucked under at the top of the sacrum back. Imagine your hips in the tops of your knees. We're at a wall, and then put it into your upper back. So sometimes I even take C variation, like when I'm doing this on my own, just to really make sure that like my shoulder blades and I'm pushing my arm bones back using the strength of my upper chest as I reach back for the heels. And then I never like to Ustrasana because I would always drop my head back, but it's really up to you. Sometimes I just like to keep the chin in towards the chest. Hands to hips as you lift back up and sit down on your heels. Pause. One more. Keeping the feet like that or pointing your toes. You're going to come onto the tops of your feet, right? Anchor down through the tops of your ankle, center of your shin bones. Sometimes I even like to take my feet a little bit wider. Okay, that forces the internal rotation of the upper thighs, the wider sitting bones, and then pressing the hips forward. One more Ustrasana, camel pose here. Okay, if you can touch your inner heels, whether your toes are tucked, I like to press my hands out against my inner heels, right? Just like the mat, like I'm trying to widen my heels more open, and that helps me to spread the chest. Upper back bend, use the inhale. Good. And release to come back to center, planting your palms. Downward facing dog, stretch out the spine. As much as you want to dip through, right? Like maybe today as your armpits open, as your shoulders open, you could get the center, your forehead more and more towards the center of your mat. Yeah, nice, very good. And then shift forward into plank. Okay, and we come all the way down onto our bellies, you guys, for Sphinx pose. All right, and this is going to be a little bit different than like you traditionally do it. So I'm gonna go to my left first, so you have a little bit like better visual. So we're gonna take our left arm out like cactus arm. Sometimes we do it with the arm straight. And then you're not gonna bend that right knee as you go into your scorpion roll. You're actually just gonna roll completely onto your like outer left ankle, outer left knee, outer left hip, outer left ear. If you want to prop your head up with a block, that can be fine. Should be much deeper when you're in a cactus arm. Okay, and now the difference is here. Please line it up like a Tadasana, like a mountain pose. Nothing in your low back. Remember the skeleton. Keep trying to stretch your ribs, especially those bottom left ribs, right? Away from your left hip. I want a lot of length here. And then you bend your top right knee, reach back, grab your right ankle. My right foot is flexed. I'm grabbing the ankle. I'm pushing my hips like I was in Ustrasana or like when you're on the floor. And as you try to squeeze your knees together, take a half bow pose, getting the quadricep stretch. So the whole front body, that whole anterior chain should be opening here. Okay, so I want you to feel this as a stretch through the front of your right quadricep, front of the right hip, and then don't forget, make it about the back bend. Take it into the upper chest. Inhale. Exhale. Should be pretty strong as you come back to center. Sphinx pose. Drag your elbows back. Put it into the mid back and change sides. Right arm out. cactus, and then turn and roll. It's about lining everything up in Tadasana first. So I usually have to lift my bottom right ribs and really move them. Think of the skeleton, like your left ribs are completely stacked on top of your right ribs. Everything comes into neutral. Tadasana pose. Then top leg bends, reach back, grab the ankle. Foot is flexed. And so there's a reason why I say like kind of push your hips towards the middle of your mat. That should kind of squeeze your glutes a little bit, protecting your low back. And then you want to try to keep your knees squeezing together. Right? That left, there you go, Allie. Yep, that left knee likes to lift up and out. And then as we finish this pose, make it about the upper back bend. Top of the sacrum is moving towards the right side of your mat. Inhale. Exhale, these long, gentle back bends, which are heart openers. As you come back to center, last think. Plant the palms. Inhale, cobra. And exhale, press back, down dog. And then drop down to your knees so that you can look at the camera. Right? So this pose, I've actually I consider it like the 7 chakra pose. I actually name it after my teacher, Dita, like Petros, right? Because he used to sequence it all the time. So maybe just watch if you don't remember doing it before. It kind of puts everything together today. So we drag the heels all the way back to the sitting bone. I take my hands alongside my ears. Now my knees and my hips go forward. Okay, that's the part that people forget. And you lift your heels. So as I press my knees to the top of the mat, I come into that toe stand, like what you were doing for Ustrasana. Okay, and then the arms go up and over. Kali Mudra. So a long, low back bend, getting the quadriceps. If that does not look like it's gonna work for your low back, you could do bridge, you could do wheel, but I actually really enjoy this. So I use my hands, I help tuck my ankles in really close. Yeah, good bear. Hands go to the ears. And then as you press your knees forward, your heels lift. So you're on the toes and toe stand. You try to keep walking, walking, walking forward. Excellent. Yep, there's a bit of a trust. You're almost there, Julie. You're about like half of a block from the floor. Yep, your knees are almost there. And then tuck your tailbone under wherever you are to get the quadriceps stretch. Walk your hands, Julie, a little bit more towards your feet. Walk your head a little bit more towards your feet. Trust yourself. Yep, keep moving your head. Keep moving your hands. Keep going in that direction. Yep, you're getting really close. Inhale. And then exhale. Back that out. So that one too is just like kind of it's learning like that shifting point as you come back. Draw your knees in towards your chest. And then rock up. And those of you with a foam roller, yeah, use your foam roller. You might want to use the block, but I'm going to give you like I don't know, let's call it like a minute or so, you guys, to just kind of like play around with your foam roller. Stay over it, back bending. So I actually don't use the block. I like to interlace the hands behind the back of my head and kind of drop my head heavy back into the hands to really open the upper chest or over a block. Your elbows are open wide. You can use the floor, pressing the elbows into the floor. Inhale and exhale. And final pose. As you bring yourself back out of it, either the block or the foam roller, exactly how we started. I'm sorry, not trying to rush you. Yeah, I know. Take a second to get out of that. Okay, and then do it as a passive supported shoulder stand. So legs up, head back. Letting the weight of your hips drop into the roll, keeping lumbar curve, and then making sure your chest feels open. And I've been trying to think as I go out into the rest of my day, the rest of my week, what's the right balance of how much do I need to plan and schedule and think ahead so that then in the moments I can be more present. Some of us go into that mode where we try to plan for everything, we over worry, or we get stuck with little disasters because we don't think ahead enough. Just use some quiet time reflection. What do you need to plan for so you can be in the moment? Okay. As we come out of this, if you like to split your legs, you guys like to get a little stretch through the inner thighs or Supta Baddha Konasana. And then you'll release to come all the way down into Shavasana. If you like the foam roller underneath the backs of your thighs or underneath the backs of your knees for a little more support today. Inhale, exhale. Now, before any movement, just see if you feel your spine a little bit more, your rib cage centered in the body. And wiggling your fingers, wiggling your toes. Stretch your arms up overhead. And you use the arms up overhead for more of that length. Bending your knees as you roll to the right. And press up to find seated. Yeah. Up and out of your low back. Put it as an upper back bend. Hands in front of your heart center. And then lifting your thumbs to your third eye. Bowing forward to seal your practice. Chai, Siddhatma.